Hi guys, good morning. It's the 26th of March and I haven't actually had a look at the chart in a few days properly. So I'm gonna look at it for the first time now. By the way, this is my dog. His name is Sunny. Wait. And he's normally always with me in the room for interviews and stuff like that. So say hello. Say hello. All right. Let me try give this 1 second. Hello. Hello. Okay, go. Okay, stop. Okay, so I'm just going to lay a bull move and a bear move. So as we know, we're currently in this descending wedge, which is okay, but we know that we can get lower prices to touch on somewhere around, you know, these support areas. So we know that 53,000, 54,000, we should have a limit order just in case price panics down to that level. And maybe some a bit lower touching along this support line. But what seems interesting is that instead of a panic down, we had the same kind of move downwards, upwards, and we found some form of resistance at the resistance line of this descending wedge. I don't know, around mid-February, I had placed this fractal and it takes us up to around 87,000. We were about 15% away from it, but we do have at least another 3-4 months, you know, to get there if we follow this trajectory. So the bear case still remains, you know, all the way down to 2,000 if something happens, I don't know, like a black swan event, I think. So if I go here, let's see what's happening. So on the RSI, Bitcoin is at 35 currently from 26, 28, and now it's at 35. Once we get in the 40 here, assuming we won't do this and go down, so we won't go up and go down, if Bitcoin can get from 40 to 43, hold 43, and then go up to 48 on the weekly, that's going to be a good sign. On the 3-day, we're already at 43, so it's a good sign. I think taking positions here is a good sign based off momentum. On the daily, we're also at 48. So you can just think of it like this. Let's see, wait, what happened? When it was 40, the price was 69,826. Now it's the RSI is 48 and the price is 69,000. So we managed to buy a little bit cheaper on the 40, but remember, when you're buying on 40, you're also taking the risk that your RSI now is going to start dipping again. And there isn't a direct correlation that if the price dips, RSI will dip as well. But most of the time what happens is RSI goes down, momentum gets drained again from the system, sellers take control, and the price of Bitcoin drops. But between 40 and 50, that same pattern can still play out. But most of the time, as RSI is going up, the price is starting to creep higher and higher. This is why I'm starting to really rely on RSI for timing. But let's have a look at what's going on here with TD Sequential. So on the daily, it hit the 9. It corrected by 4 candles, which is normal. And then it switched, and now we're on a positive count. But we need to close above, I think above 70,980 tomorrow or the day after. Okay, anyways, so 3 days. What's happening on the 3-day? Also corrected, hit the 9, and since then we've just been hanging around with one touch on the resistance. It's funny, weekly 7. So you don't get the 9 on the weekly so far. And on the month, alright, so I've looked enough at Bitcoin. So I want to start off with Tau. And explain this trade. So I remember getting in here at around 188 because we were below 31% the base, which is great. It's a good buy. And I remember not selling here because I wanted to sell at the resolve of the base, basically. So what happened was, when price went down, I said this micro wick looks like a good signal that this might be a good entry. I was looking at the RSI for confirmation that this was a good time, and we're breaking above 50. So breaking above 50 is, I think, the best time to take a position. So anywhere between 40 and 50. So in this case, 40 was ranging between 129 and 150. This is euro, by the way. And when I bought, RSI was 50 and it was ranging at 156. So more or less same price as 40. Then price went down when I bought by 7-8%. But a few days later, I managed to sell the last price at 265. And then if I wanted to, I could have bought in at a 15% discount. Overall, the trade was 69, around 69%. And I have 2 more exits planned. One at 364 and one at 420. So we'll see how those pan out. Let me see what else. So pump versus sol. Nothing really happening since this trade. You see, there's still, if you're trading like pump versus sol and you're a believer of sol, it's good because you can increase your sol over time. So I think it's a good move to trade altcoin pairings together with euro. No, sorry, altcoin pairings in general. Pump is currently here in the 43, so it went up to 48 and now it's coming back down to 43. So maybe this is why we're seeing this ugly candle. Then again, I'm still looking to resolve this base over here. Okay, what else? Near is up. Near hits 73. I should have maybe taken profit on near on these three, which are roughly 50%, but I didn't because I'm anticipating a huge move in near eventually to these levels of 2, 3, and 4. So I actually have another limit order at 73, and if price goes back down into 73, I'll take another, another few. This is a coin, I don't really know what it is, but I'm seeing it everywhere. So let's just set up an alert. This partially went through, not all of it. Very frustrating. But let's see if another pump comes. BONK is flat. BONK is flat. Yellow. BONK is flat, but it's holding in the 40-50 range RSI. So I think it's time, for BONK to make a move to the upside. Now, what we can do, maybe to close off this video, because it's 12 minutes so far, I guess not that long. 1 second. If you look at PEPE versus BONK, it's like, which one am I gonna hold right now, PEPE or BONK? Overall, PEPE is the better hold. Why? Because it's been going up versus BONK, and it seems to be holding a nice formation for higher prices. Oh, not higher prices, sorry. Better price appreciation in PEPE versus BONK. So PEPE will go up 20%, BONK will go up 15% or 10%, whatever. So what can happen is, if BONK can do well in the next month, maybe 2 months, even 3 months or 4 months, then it can pierce this support line and maybe it will close this gap anywhere around here. That means that BONK might be a better hold, but until that happens, PEPE is a better hold. So it's like, should you have so much BONK versus PEPE at the moment? If you look at here, it is also in the 43 range, and it's also looking good for a breakout, for a push high. So it's interesting. I'm curious to know which one people are gonna prefer to speculate on. Now, if we just look quickly at Doge Bitcoin had a moment where it was in the 40 range, broke above the 50 range over here. Let's say you bought Doge here, you could have sold it for Bitcoin at a 20% profit, and the RSI told you that this is probably a good time to do it. Unlike here, for example, where the RSI told you, no, you're probably not going to get a move up, because the move up happens almost exactly as you go above 50. So even here, 50, it's this price. You bought in, and then you sold Doge for Bitcoin for whatever. You had the opportunity to sell it for at least 35% profit if you sold. Unlike if you bought at this 50 range. Why? Because you can clearly see we're coming into where momentum is trending down, as opposed here where it's trending up, I think. But it's unclear. It's unclear actually, because currently it's 39. So maybe Bitcoin is going to trend better against Doge. Doge Euro is in the 41 also. I mean, I don't know. I think everything looks pretty okay. I'm not too worried. 1 second. Let's see. CC, I'm waiting to get in a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. If it goes down, yeah, ICP, we got this 62. Before we got 77, and before that we got 85. So I think now ICP needs to hold this 40-50 range for sure. It cannot do something like this and spend. It can't spend. It can do whatever it wants, but if it does something like this here, I don't think it will be to this magnitude. Maybe it will be to this magnitude. Maybe you see this go down another, back down to 120 RSI. Oh, sorry, ICP. And then maybe it will go above 50, and then we'll know if it's going to be a real pump or not. And if it is, momentum will break through this 59 area. So alright, I think more or less we've seen the coins. IMX was one I called out a while ago actually, and I remember saying, look, we're in the 40-50 range. It broke out and price went up 20% from where I bought it, but I was looking for 28% and I was looking for 36%. Missed it, and now we're down here. But that's the trading strategy. Eventually, I think it will go back to 35 cents. So I'm willing to take some at 18 and 19, because that's already 50%. Okay, Jupiter. One more thing on gold. This one. Okay, so good bounce, very good bounce. Bitcoin has rebounded pretty well against gold by about 20%, but it's not totally bullish against gold yet. Why? Because as you can see, even in TD sequential on the 3-day, we're at a 9, so we're coming to a little bit of exhaustion from the buying side of Bitcoin versus gold. But if Bitcoin can keep on going up and do something like this, that's a good sign. So we'll leave this fractal here. Why? Because it's just starting from the low from here, and we didn't actually get back into this range, which I think is a really good sign, because now it becomes a lower low, sorry, a higher low, and makes sense that we pulled back here on the 9. It makes sense that we pulled back again on the 3-day on the 9, and this kind of move up and then back down and then move up, you know, it could mirror something similar to that, or it could just hug the resistance line and then go through it, or it could just crack down and then we go back into this range. But I think this is the more likely outcome. So that's a good sign. It means Bitcoin might have turned and is now bullish versus gold. Alright guys, so that is the end of the video for today. I hope it was useful. If you like this content, please follow, please subscribe, please like. It will help the channel a lot. Thank you guys. Have a nice day. Ciao, ciao.